Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Thursday, the 20th of August. How are you doing? Are you ready for the weekend? I am ready for the weekend. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for the weekend. So let's do this. Is my button going to work? What the hell with the button?
Oh my God. Jesus. Do you like it?
Sometimes you can choose to not be a dick. Yes. Thank you.
I can't take it off. I can't take it off. Like, take it off. I can't. Take it off. I can't take it off. Like, take it off. I can't.
All right, so good morning. We've got Christian Watkins, my Thursday host, is joining me this morning. Good morning, Christian. How are you?
Hey, Chris.
Are you there?
Thanks for having me on, as always.
Nice to have you. He is the host of the Christian J. Watkins channel, little channel growing here on YouTube, and actually kind of a busy person going on. How's things been going?
Awesome. Doing lots of stuff. This weekend I'll have Eric Murphy on for his interview, and then the next couple ones are people like Neil, the 604 Atheist, Randolph Richardson, and eventually some other people that I can't technically announce yet, but I will next week on the show. But
awesome. It's going to be fun. Let me bring on our guest this morning, Lola Ray, a fan favorite. She is from TikTok. She's a victims advocate, abuse advocate. I'm not sure. I'm probably tearing that up. Tech Gremlins got me this morning already. And she's also an atheist who does these wonderful, funny, as you noticed from the intro, TikTok videos. So good morning, Miss Lola. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
It's early again, isn't it?
It is. It's a little early.
It's an ungodly hour. Well, I want to thank everybody in the damn nation for joining us this morning. Good morning, Ian Davenport. Nice to see you. Casa Mufasa, you got a shirt. Hey, Casa, send me a picture with you in the shirt, and I will put it at the front of the show with Derek Cruz and Paul Kamish. So send me a picture of the show. Whoever, if you've bought any of my merch, send me pictures of your merch and I'll throw it at the place. So do the thing. I love it. And some people, if you've already sent it to me, just remind me. Go, man, hey, I sent you a thing, because they have, and I've forgotten it because I'm a bad man. Lola's volume is a little low. So Casa Mufasa says Lola's volume's low. I'm going to try to balance that out as much as I can, Lola, but I'm going to need you to speak from your diaphragm. Kind of.
Okay.
There you go. Good morning, Godless Granny and Epileptic Skeptic AA. Nice to have you with us this morning. Uribench. Hello, Uribench. Nice to have you. All these wonderful people. I also want to say hello to all the people watching on Facebook. Nice to have you with us. We broadcast on all the 10 or 12 Facebook groups and pages. Thank you to everybody watching over there. And also to all the people who listen on the Daily Atheist Podcast Live, because we now stream out on our Daily Atheist Podcast Live. So good morning to everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Miss Lola. And Christian, of course. I don't know, Christian, do you have a lot of experience with TikTok? I actually have a poll. I have not seen Streamlabs appear yet in the thing here, so I don't know if the poll is working, but as soon as I see Streamlabs, I'll hit us up with the poll about TikTok, whether or not you use TikTok. I don't use it yet. I've been threatening to, but man, I've been covering it. I've been doing stuff, I got no time to get on TikTok. But I want to. So here in a minute, I'm going to run a poll. So good morning, Miss Lola. Do you want to kind of give us an introduction? You said there is some craziness going on over on TikTok. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like QAnon has taken over.
QAnon?
It is insane. It's nuts. I don't even, I wasn't really, I've heard of QAnon, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. I knew they were, or I'd heard they were conspiracy theorists, and they were a little wacky, but it just seems like they've kind of infected TikTok. It's just virulent, it's just
really,
they've got this whole child sex trafficking, pedophilia thing, and Hillary's eating children, and there's kids underground, and when they're rescued and brought above ground, they're like imploding from the pressure or something.
What the hell?
It is insane.
Really?
And yeah,
I
and
would
I'm
bet the
dealing
same
with some
people
of
who
that right
believe
now.
this stuff and propagate this QAnon stuff are probably a whole bunch of the very anti-maskers and Trumpers. I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking
they're
that's
Trumpers.
the Venn
Yeah, they're
diagram on
Trumpers for
this.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
this one chick is just been arguing with me for the last 3 days. But she said that Trump's got like a live tribunal with hundreds and thousands of, or like 100,000 pedophiles, and there's gonna be like, you know, mass executions. I mean, it's just nuts. And
Really?
what's scary is that, you know, so I started seeing this trend where these people were holding shovels and like dragging fake bodies, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something like, you know, if pedophilia is a sexual orientation, then burying them is just landscaping. And
Mm.
I mean, I saw so many of them, and it's just so dangerous. It's just
Wasn't
so dangerous.
wasn't that something that the back in the McCarthy era they would label against like movie stars and stuff? They would claim they were pedophiles or
That's what they're doing
they.
now.
Yeah, same kind of thing. I thought so. It's like a dog whistle, and it's this
Yeah.
for the right to another dog whistle. It seems like these people on the right will buy anything. The virus is a hoax.
Yeah.
They bought that so hard. Even whenever the grand poobah of these right wing nutbags puts on a freaking mask, you still can't convince them to put on a mask.
Yeah.
So
It's just frightening. It's
absolutely.
frightening.
I want to say thank you to Ian Davenport for the $5 of support for the channel with a sticker. He got a kick out of something. And apparently Streamlabs, I don't know what the hell your problem is. You know, this is a recurring thing. I'm gonna silently cuss this in the background while you guys continue. But again, this is just craziness. This is something that the right has used against the left in the past, is the title of pedophile and stuff like that, and claim they were kicking in their doors and doing these things for those reasons. There it is. Welcome to the party. Streamlabs, thank you for that. It finally decided to ring its thing. So those kind of things, and now I could see them doing it again with Trump getting his Betsy DeVos's brothers, his Blackwater troops in place, because those are the people they were using in Oregon. Wasn't actual police; it was Blackwater folk. So, you know, I just see it being bad, worse than it probably really is.
It's pretty bad. It's just I've seen so much the last few weeks. It's insane. Right. Now they're talking that Disney is in on it. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson moved to Greece because they're about to get caught or something. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen got sucked into it. It's just
really,
it's insane. It's just sheer, and it's dangerous. It is dangerous generally. I mean, just, you know, we do have a problem with child sex trafficking, right? But these people are making it sound like it's just so, you know, it's millions and millions of children that are going missing, and it's just this campaign of disinformation.
They're laying this crazy conspiracy nutbaggery, a lot of it propagated by the right-wing nutbags. They're layering it over a real and actual true problem of child sexual trafficking that does happen, you know? So that
now
is true.
There's also this bill, the Equality Act, that they've introduced. It's an anti-discrimination bill. And, you know, now the thing is that this bill is going to allow for people to marry children, and it's going to allow for pedophiles to be exempt from the sex registry, and it's nothing like that at all. Nothing, you know. And they're using the LGBTQ community, you know, to kind of help further this along. It's just evil. I mean, I can't even think of another word. I know evil has like supernatural overtones, but there's just no other word that I can come up with to describe how just malevolent these people are.
Yeah. Hey, Christian, do you have any experience with TikTok? Do you use it?
Yeah, I mean, I have an account of which I don't necessarily watch atheist or political videos on TikTok. It's more just like whatever my For You page throws at me for the day, which is usually garbage, but it's usually pretty funny. But yeah, I definitely have used it for a while now. But one thing I will say is anyone who thinks that you could compare child pedestry to a man and a man loving each other or getting married or having, adopted kids or anything like that is a piece of garbage. And the idea that you could use the same justification for those two things is actually false. And anyone who believes that should give me the case, because I'd be happy to rip it apart.
Yeah. Gotcha. I'm trying to fix our poll here. I haven't gotten on TikTok yet, but I don't know if I want to now. I was going to. I was threatening to. Miss Lola had some cool stuff over there, and I was like, I think I might want to go over and check that stuff out. But I got to be honest. I have a hard enough time with YouTube. I don't watch as much YouTube as I used to. And if you watch, so whenever I go and watch YouTube, it usually pops up atheist stuff or video game stuff or sci-fi stuff, But if there's anything on there, like if I pop open a bra thing or anything, before long, YouTube will think I'm some kind of uber perv. I'm like, my God, what do you think I'm trying to watch here? And I'm like, how is this even on? I've seen that. I've reported things on YouTube. How does this happen? Now, I'm talking like a month. This is not, because remember, they had the big problem with YouTube and all us YouTubers worried, don't even let a kid show up in the background because YouTube is going to get us and hunt us down and kick in the door and shoot our whole family because they don't like kids in the video, right? We were all paranoid about that. But just like a couple of months ago, or not even a month ago or so, I'm like, why are you showing me? Why are you suggesting this to me? And I had to report something on YouTube that I felt was inappropriate, So yeah. I can't imagine what's going on. But I've heard things about TikTok, people calling it something about they had names for it. At first, it was like calling it a place where the term I got was like there's a bunch of teeny girls there showing off their body, and all the pedos are going there to watch them. That's kind of the impression I got. And now I get the impression that I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I don't know anything about that. I've never gone to look. But now we've got these QAnon people spreading all this overblown conspiracy theory stuff. Remember the guy got arrested for going to the pizza house because there's some basement in the pizza house? That's part of this whole same thing, Yeah,
they still believe that too.
Absolutely.
Pizzagate is, there are people who have their profile pictures have a slice of pizza on it.
Really? Because they believe it. It said they're believers.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's just insane.
This isn't the first time the right has believed things without evidence, so.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a hobby, and also it seems like I tell you, the conservative right is not that bad. I mean, they are bad, but they're not that bad. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not really, conservative people are not this. What we're seeing is the uber right, the Tea Party far right. It's like saying all left people on the left are crazy cat ladies who, do whatever crazy cat lady liberal people on the left want to do. I don't social justice warrior thing or whatever. I don't know, but we're not all that. We're not. And just like that, not all, but I tell you, it sure does appear. So if our country were, and I don't know if it is, but if our country were 50-50 liberal and conservative, it would appear as though 80% of that conservative part has now been taken over by the Tea Party. The far right has now expanded their grip. But that's how it appears. Now when you look at it as skewed, so you've got 40% of the total population is Tea Party, and they are unified, malleable, willing to believe things when told the right way by the right people, and very easy to motivate. Unlike the left, we're herding cats, right? We're herding cats. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have some friends on TikTok that are, left leaning. But even I've seen some of them kind of get, kind of stuck on, okay, maybe this is true. What is, like they'll do videos, they'll do a duet of a video that says, for example, okay, they're pushing to make pedophilia a sexual orientation, and they'll sit there, they'll do a duet. Yeah, but they'll do this thing, and it's just kind of like, really? Like I could see them kind of shifting, question, like their reality is being slowly altered, and you can see how this kind of stuff will, actually start to work on people, because even the most reasonable people are wondering, hey, are they really trying to make this a thing? Well, I mean, there was this thing on 4chan a while back where these trolls kind of created this pedosexual flag, and they tried to link the LGBTQ community to them, and that was, the goal. And so now it's this bill, the Equality Act, where they're saying, oh well, if they don't exclude pedophiles, and they're including pedophiles, and it's just not true. It's not.
Right.
It's not true at all, because the term pedosexuality, pedosexuals. I mean, it's being thrown around, but it's not a thing, right? It's not a recognized sexual orientation. So no, they're not covered by the Equality Act. They're not a protected class, so to speak. So, but you can't tell that to these people. You can't tell them that. They refuse to actually accept. Yeah, I saw a video, someone tagged me in this video, and I went and I looked at it, and I commented, I said, pedosexuality is not a thing. So they're not going to be a protected class under this bill. And I mean, that's good news. But people lost their shiznit. I mean, they just went nuts. They're like, and I'm in the comments going, I'm like on your side here.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you upset? One woman did a duet with me and, called me all kinds of names, and, saying that I'm like a pedophile lover. She actually put a hashtag, La Vida Lola loves pedophiles.
Really?
I just like, what? They're just insane. You can't.
Well,
yeah.
just for clarity, just for anyone in the audience who may be confused with the distinction, there is a distinction between pedophilia and pedestry.
Right.
And having a sexual attraction towards younger individuals, whether that be children, teens, whatever, though that sort of thing is not criminal in the United States.
Right.
We cannot criminalize thought crimes. We can't criminalize you for what you think or for what you're attracted to, but we can criminalize you for not getting informed, enthusiastic consent and having those sorts of relationships with a child. That is where it's illegal. So pedestry, the actual action, is what's illegal. But pedophilia, the urge to do so, is A, not illegal, and B, you are in a morally superior position if you choose not to act on it than someone who does.
Right. And most people, I'm just going to say most people don't know the difference. I actually, when I saw the video that I mentioned about, the shovels and the fake bodies, I posted a video where I said, this is problematic, because we need these people to come forward and ask for help. And they won't do that when they feel like their lives are being threatened. Mm-hmm. And people lost it, because they don't understand that. They think that I'm defending child molesters. And even though in the video I said there is a difference, pedophile does not equal child molester. Many of them go their entire lives without harming anyone. No, they're just not, they're not having it. And like there's treatment, and, you guys know there's treatment, because you get all excited when you hear about, like recently Alabama, I think, passed a bill that allowed for chemical castration of convicted child molesters. And they were all excited about that.
Okay.
And, one chick tagged me in a video about that. And she's like, you see, this is what's going to happen. Like, that's the reason that's a thing, is because it's been proven to work. And that's one treatment. There's several, there's others, but I mean, why don't you guys want to prevent the crime?
Right.
All you're doing is relishing and just, rejoicing in the revenge and the
exactly, Lola, and that comes from a religious place. I think that religions have taught people that justice is punishing the person who commits the crime, not compensating the victim. And I think that warped view of justice is deeply religious. It's deeply fundamentalist. It's slowly going away. But the only true way to get, quote, justice is for the event to not have occurred, because the event is affecting the victim. It's not necessarily fantastic to punish the person who did it, right? So this is why the death penalty is a poor solution, because the only way that you can really atone for what has occurred in an instance is to compensate and help the victim of the crime. And if the victim of the crime is dead, then the only appropriate response would be to make them undead, and you can't do that unless you want to create, The Walking Dead 3.0. So you have to find an appropriate response on the person who actually did the crime, which isn't ideal. So I think that these people genuinely believe that the moral response to child pedestry is to just kill the person who does so, when in actuality it's to reverse the actual instance of what was the initial wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't get that.
A good part of it is to be about, like Miss Lola is saying, let's stop it before it gets to that point at all. Long before it gets that, and then there's people in the thing. Here's my notion, because I don't know enough about it, so I'm going to claim right now that I'm speaking from a position of ignorance. Okay, all I know is that I'm attracted to what I'm attracted to, and I don't really know why. I just know I am, and I know what turns me on, and what turns me off, and I don't really know as to why. You know what I mean? So, by that same reasoning, people who are gay are attracted to who they're attracted to because they're attracted to them, and they don't really know why. There's not a really, again, you can't make somebody ungay, right? I mean, we actually have laws now. We're needing laws now against trying to make people ungay because of the harm that religious people are doing to gay people, trying to force them to not be gay. And the gay is actually just something in their head that they don't really understand that makes them attracted to what they're attracted to. Now, how does that apply to pedophiles? How can we all of a sudden make them not pedophiles? How does that work? We can't. We can make them not act on it.
Right. You can suppress their urges, through, I think it's androgen therapy, and treatment, some other types of therapy that were available that actually have been proven to work. Yeah. But you can't change who they are. I mean, it's who they are.
Right. It's like Alan, or is it Turing, who they chemically castrated for being gay? The man who created computers.
Well, and I think the problem is,
I'm not comparing gay to pedophilia or pedophiles. Right. I'm not. I'm just talking about what we are attracted to, and I assume that falls under the same thing. With a pedophile, they have sex with those who they are attracted to, and that happens to be children of a certain age.
Right. Well, and they have the attraction, and they can't do anything about the attraction. I think, and that's where, and some people in the psych community do consider it a sexual orientation, but not in the same, not in the same sense of, the LGBTQ community. Right. It's just that it's immutable, per se. So the only thing you can do in that case is treatment. You can discourage the behavior. You can give them, you can do the chemical castration. You can do other. There are treatments that were proven to work that they use on addicts. Right. But people don't want to hear that. Like this one chick that I mentioned, I'm going back and forth with her. She's like, well, there's no such thing as treatment. There is no treatment. Well, no, that's not true. There is treatment.
It's true.
And then she says, well, it's a joke. Well, you're not helping. I mean, if you want kids to be safe, we need to do our best to prevent them. Not, let's not create the breeding grounds for them, because if you don't treat them, the likelihood of their offending actually goes up. So
I think we have two different notions here about how to prevent things. One of them is we find those people, we coddle them, we tell them they're safe, we treat them, we put them in a safe place and make sure they don't hurt anybody, blah 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 blah, and we let them know that it's okay for them to come out, and we'll help and treat them. And that's one version of how we should try to approach this. The other side is one of these deals where if you do it, we're gonna control by fear. If you do this, we're gonna hurt you. We're gonna cut you, we're going to hurt you, we're going to burn you, they make all kinds of jokes about what they're going to do. So it's really the completely opposite. It's the carrot and the stick method. Yeah. So well, it's really hard to get pedophiles to come forward, or to who want to change, who don't like those things, who want to come up forward and get help, when there's a half and half mindset of murder, death, kill on the people whenever they come forward to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, and they're treating these people like they're all monsters. And, again, they're not all out there molesting children. And then there's also the segment of child molesters who are actually not pedophiles. And it's hard for people to imagine that someone who molests children isn't a pedophile. But there are a large number of them that are not, because rape generally, it's not just with children, but generally is often a crime of opportunity. And there are other contributors to why they molest kids beyond being a pedophile. So, I mean, these little tidbits of information are really helpful, in the way of prevention. But prevention doesn't seem to be something they want. I mean, it's so bizarre to me. Like, they literally get angry when you suggest not killing them. I mean, they're going to be, yeah.
Here's kind of a thought experiment. If you're thinking of this issue right now, and whether you're watching now, watching later, or Chris and Lola even right now, just if your initial reaction to something is formulated in 3 seconds, it's probably wrong.
Yeah.
It's probably incorrect. And you should give more thought to a conversation than just, this is my first gut visceralic level reaction, and I'm just going to start spewing it everywhere. Because it turns out that the complexity of the issue is not lessened or impacted by your lack of understanding of the issue. So I would say that we can sit here and pretend like every single level of this issue is the same black and white instance where if there's even a hint that you may be doing this, just immediate death penalty. Like we can, I guess, advocate for that sort of state if you're that horribly ignorant, or we could actually have a conversation about preventative solutions, therapy, things like that would actually decrease the numbers. So you could be either an active charitable listener and try to come up with solutions with everyone else here, or you could shut yourself off from the world and pretend like we're all trying to apologize for child pedestry, when in actuality we're trying to stop it from happening. So while the adults are talking, we can let the people who refuse to engage in the conversation piss and moan about how we're defending child pedestry, which is not what we're doing by any reasonable listen or charitable listen to this conversation.
Exactly.
Well, it could be a middle bit of, this is probably, possibly, I think, one of those cases where need to have a bit of both. Rather than just like the right wants to do, they want to ignore the problem until there's a victim and then they have somebody to blame and be angry with. Let's set that aside. We need to treat people before the problem. We need to try to help people before there's a problem, before somebody gets hurt. But then, so we'll let the people on the left guide how that treatment happens and how that works. But then once that crime is committed and they've gone and they've hurt somebody and they've done something, then they've rendered themselves under the hands of the right. And there needs to be some kind of not only but some kind of punishment besides bad pedophile. They need to. Well, there needs to be some
punishment. We put them in jail. They get punished. There's laws against it, and so
of course,
and the punishments are, I think, reasonable. They go to jail. They have to, and while they're in there, they have to get treatment. And some of those people are not going to be they're not going to be cured, or they're not going to be helped or rehabilitated because they have other issues at work, sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissism, bipolar disorder, maybe not bipolar, but like borderline. They have other stuff. People don't understand that people that repeatedly, or, serial molesters, for example, it's not the pedophilia that's, and if they're pedophiles to begin with, many of them aren't. But that's not just the only driving force. There's other comorbidities at work. A lot of, pedophiles don't want to harm children.
Of course.
They don't. They just want help, but they're afraid. I'm not really sure about the mandatory reporting laws, but a lot of them are aware of them, and that's enough to discourage them from seeking help. So.
Well, in here, just another thought. I love these thought experiments. Imagine that you're seeing pedestry take place in open in public. Are you going to punch the person who's doing it or save the person who's victimized by it?
That's great.
Just think about that for a moment, because it turns out that the visceralic reaction for a lot of people is going to be to take a swing at the person who's doing it, but in actuality, the person who's hurting is the person who's being victimized by it. So our justice system should be set up in a way to compensate and help and give relief to those who are victimized by it, while also making sure that those who do it do not have the opportunity to do so again. And to me, justice should be focused on that.
So instead of punching the guy, you mean rush up and grab the child and run away with the child? Is that what you mean? Because you kind of went, somebody's doing something. So now instead of punching the guy, would you sit here and morally debate something? Blah, blah, blah. But what do you mean, though? Either punch the guy or what? You see,
I think you missed the point of the thought experiment.
No, I'm asking a question. What happens? Either punch the guy or what? Do you help the child? Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. No, you're right. I probably did miss the point of the thought experiment.
Yeah, the point of the thought experiment wasn't what you do in the moment. It's how you deal with it once the event has ended.
Understood.
So, yes, your initial reaction is going to be to punch the pedophile, punch the child pedestry individual, and get them off of the child. But once that happens, continuing to break the pedophile's bones isn't going to stop the child from being harmed and victimized. At that point, you should turn your attention towards making sure the child is okay.
Right, but the thinking on the right, and I'm not necessarily defending on the right, but the thinking on the right, if you stop and start breaking a few bones, it'll save the next victim. That's what we're talking about. Their perspective. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's what jail is, right? That we pull them out of society so that they're not out there harming any more people. But eventually they, depending on the situation, they might get released back into society, which is why prevention is really the best idea. But they do get treatment in prison. But again, whenever a lot of them don't get rehabilitated, and those issues are beyond whatever sexual preferences they have.
Right. So there's questions like to Trina, the people on the right. So let me ask you something. You're sitting there and you're a pedophile, and you know it. You've got these desires you can't control. What should you do? Should you just kill yourself right then? I mean, what should, because I'm not necessarily asking Miss Lola. I'm asking the people on the right in the chat who are saying there's nothing you can do. You can't save a pedophile. You can't convince a person that they're not gay. The same kind of argument I was using earlier. So what should this person do? Should they just throw themselves in a lake, go out and fling themselves? So to all the millions of people out there, or hundreds of thousands or whoever, that are pedophiles who are having a problem with it, what should they do? Just off themselves? Or should they seek some kind of treatment? If they seek treatment, they have run a risk of being welcomed and treated or being violently accosted. See, but what should they do? They have no choice. We've all agreed they have no choice. They are choiceless. So what should they do with themselves? And that's kind of the question. But now we're talking before they hurt somebody else, because there's a line crossed. And once they cross a line, then the whole tone of everything changes. And so to those out there who are pushing for the kill them all, let God sort them out kind of thing, what do they do? If they haven't done anything that this just drives, what do they do? How do they control that?
Well, and that's the thing too, is that we can't kill them all. Even if that were a thing, even if you could do that, you can't, because most of them are in hiding.
Right.
And
will they always be a threat?
They're not always a threat. I don't know the specific numbers, but
that's a
because
fine
it's hard to measure.
Too. Yeah, it's hard to measure.
Hard to measure because they're not coming forward because they're afraid, right? A lot of those people who are outed end up losing their jobs. They can't go out in society, even if they've never done anything, right? So just being suspected of it. I mean, and we know this doesn't have to just be with pedophiles. It could be with, any situation where if you're merely suspected of doing something bad, that sticks to you. And
Of
so,
course.
but with pedophiles, it's even worse. I mean, they lose everything, even if they never touch a child, but if it comes out or they reveal themselves,
If they
it's a
ask help,
problem.
if they're
Yeah.
afraid they're going to do something wrong and they ask for help, they destroy their lives
Mm-hmm.
by coming out and doing so. So Miss Trina did say that, of course, therapy beforehand. I think I'm kind of on the right track. Beforehand, seek therapy, try to fix yourself. After you've done something, though, woe be to you because you've hurt a child and now you've kind of asked for it. You knew this was coming. You've kind of asked for it. So there's a complicated thing going on. But then again, the question is, will they always be a threat? Regardless, I think in my mind, the ones that have never are the ones that you kind of can sit over here and be a little more trust. But the ones that have harmed a child would be the ones that you would really want to concern yourselves with being a recurring threat. But really, that's not. I mean, this show turned into about analyzing pedophilia, and it was supposed to be like TikTok and crazy religious people on TikTok.
I still think it's crazy how it seems like the focus of every single time I have this conversation is somehow always back on the person who does it. I don't know. My thought, maybe I'm alone on this. Maybe this is kind of a unique position that I hold. But when I'm thinking justice, I'm thinking, how do we help the person who's affected? And we can talk about future prevention. That's totally cool, and that can be a conversation that happens at length.
Well, these
but
are not
I would
mutually
say
exclusive.
That, for sure.
You know, I mean, you got to do one. How do you address the perpetrator? And then you got to address how you take care of the victim. Obviously, just because we're talking about the A, though. I understand you're pointing out the B, and there really needs to be a lot of B. We need to take care of the victim and go do the victim thing. True, totally get that. I'm not. I didn't suggest we shouldn't do that, did I? Somehow? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm just checking.
I'm just highlighting how important it is, and making sure that it isn't lost in the conversation.
Well, gotcha. I'll just briefly. I can tell you as a victim advocate and as one who was sexually abused as a child, I can tell you part of a way to assist victims is to kind of shift. A lot of the trauma for victims of sexual assault, whether they're children or adults, has a lot to do with ideological and cultural influences on how we view the act, right? So there's a lot of women or people who are violated and feel there's this sullying effect of sexual assault. So a lot of the trauma comes from that. I can tell you personally, my entire life was destroyed. I mean, I had abusive relationships one after another because of what happened to me as a child and what I was taught to believe about that violation, that I was worthless, that I was sullied, that I was damaged, that I was, no longer a virgin. And so who's going to want me? And, that kind of stuff plays a huge role in this devastating impact of sexual assault, but especially with a child. So I think that that's one way to help victims, is that to kind of break this cycle of hyper, victimization, this catastrophic view of what sexual assault does to a person. But yeah, I mean, definitely you need to help them after the fact and need to help them deal with that too.
So what's going on with the Christians in this? How do the Christians on TikTok play into this? I noticed in your message there was are the Christians fallen for this conspiracy thing about millions of children being in? Who was it? Somebody on the interwebs, was it you? I said that they believe. I may not have even been you. Somebody said that they believed Wayfair is shipping kids in crates.
Yeah.
Can you buy a kid from Wayfair? Is it that easy these days?
Yeah.
Was that you that I heard that from?
Probably not me, because I've only heard about that recently and I almost forgot about it. But yeah, that's a thing. And Christians are the majority. I honestly, I don't know of any atheists that have bought into this, but the people that are buying into all this stuff are Christians. They're talking about how God is going to, unleash his wrath, and Satan is at work here and he's ruling right now. And uh,
Yeah.
they're Trumpers. You know, Trumpers are just largely Christian. So I didn't, you
True.
know, there's the Trumpers are they're a nutty bunch. You know, they're out there, just so out there.
Mhm.
I didn't realize that it could get worse. But this
Oh,
QAnon thing has taken it to a whole other
yeah.
level of lunacy.
It's a dog whistle. I say
It,
it's a dog whistle. You know, I'm one of those who calls out the worst about the politic and what's possibly going to happen. I lay it out how this could happen and this could happen and this could happen. And I've talked about them. I've already talked about them because whenever Trump and the party on the right gets closer to the election and more afraid that they're going to lose, are going to become more and more desperate. And it wouldn't surprise me to see them using their private police force to arrest people like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and his family. I mean, we've seen that in other governments where an incumbent corrupt fascist regime will arrest their, you know, I mean, we just see this. And whenever you've got this third of the populace is fallen for all this nutbaggery that comes out of this office. And I mean, Trump himself has posted QAnon related tweets,
yeah.
you know, and he's just driving this bag of, so whenever everything goes down, they're going to have this fervent third or 40% of our population who's buying into this crap, who's willing to buy whatever drivel they'll tell them. And I'm afraid it's going to get ugly.
Well, there was I think it was yesterday, as a matter of fact, that at one of the news briefings, one of the reporters asked him, are you aware of, you know, this thing going around where people are saying that you're going to save the world from these sex traffickers? And he stood there and said, well, I hadn't heard of that, but is that a bad thing? He goes, is that a bad thing? I mean,
that he saves the world from the sex traffickers.
Yeah, he's like, is that a bad thing? I mean, of course, I'm going to do everything I can or whatever. So, like, you know, I think he kind of saw another in there, another opportunity.
Yeah.
But,
well, Brian Bowden here in the chat says Trump appreciates QAnon's support, and I think he's hit it right on the head. Yeah.
He does.
Well, how is that going to work then if QAnon is doing this mad takeover of TikTok, and TikTok is owned by China, so Trump is going to kill TikTok? Is he going to cut off the head of one of his own little things there?
I don't know. He might not after he realizes what's going on. But TikTok is, they're killing the hashtags, and they're doing their best to kind of.
The kids are fighting. Huh?
Get that under control, but they're not doing a very good job.
I saw a post on the internet today. It was like a, you know, Antifa Facebook group going, hey, we're going to meet later. And, you know, this Antifa, I think it was somewhere in Florida, Antifa Florida Facebook group is going to meet. And he forgot to turn off his geotag, and there was this Russian city tag. As well, we know there was in Russian. Oh man, they screwed with the elections back in 2016. Yeah. We know they're doing it. I mean, it's all over the place now. It's just no surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Russian government, part of their social media campaign against the United States to help stir up this QAnon stuff. Are they that smart to do all this by themselves? I mean, how's this work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Russia's behind this whole QAnon.
Yeah. Well, you were breathing, Christian?
Oh, am I really?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I thought you were going to talk.
Oh yeah. I was just getting ready to say that this is why it's important to encourage skepticism and good methodologies for finding truth, because if you have no filter for seeing what is false and what is true consistently, you shouldn't be surprised when your worldview is comprised of things that have no evidential warrant. So it's not shocking to me that these sorts of supporters are disproportionately on the religious side of the right. And it's because their methods for finding truth are so warped with a lack of understanding of things like rigorous skepticism and understanding good methodologies for finding truth, that they are accepting claims that seem to be reasonable under their reinforced, you know, stimulus building worldview. And as soon as that worldview is challenged, they have to find some way to keep the worldview. And it turns out that the right is incredibly effective at not actually dealing in reality and taking an issue that doesn't exist in reality, or that does exist in reality, and making it not part of reality. Because the point is that if they dealt in reality, they would understand that reality isn't that exciting, bro. Like there isn't that much happening in reality to where there's all these secret conspiracies that half of the world is in on that somehow you were left out of. Like this is in fact not how this works, and not having the methodologies for finding truth is why these sorts of things stick.
And oddly enough, when there really is a coup, they don't seem to notice it. When there really is a foreign power trying to take over our government and do all these things and blah, 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 these conspiracy nuts kind of just don't seem to notice that at all. What is that? Why is it they're not out there banging on Trump and his support with Putin and all this other stuff? You know, it just kind of escapes me. And yet they see all these conspiracies everywhere. They're everywhere. Now, I want to mention something going on in the chat. It's kind of rare, but we have a Trump supporting straggler, Miss Trina DeLuca. She's always in our chat. She's nice, but she's a full-blown Trump supporter. So either argue with her or disagree with her or ignore her. It's you know, she's always there. She's mostly harmless until something like this comes up. She's posting that street signs. There's these street signs that see, and this part of the problem. Let me read her post here just to see. Says that anyone seeing the signs by the street, cash for homes, we buy houses, those are sex traffickers. I feel that's just ridiculous, you know, but I don't know enough about it. What I do feel is that, again, like we already talked about, there really is a sex trafficker problem. And to lay unnecessary BS, hyperbole, conspiracy theories over this, you know what? You're sitting there and you're reading this sign and you walk up to the sign and you're like, oh my goodness, look at this sign. You write down the number. Oh my goodness, this sign is horrible. And you walk away, and off in the distance, right behind that sign, is a little girl in the window going, help me, help me. But you don't see it because you're looking at this bullshit that's posted on this window. You know what I mean? It's distracting from the real problem. Whenever they obfuscate with these overblown crap, hyperbole kind of things. Everybody get what I'm talking about? Okay, so thank you for that.
Christian, I have a question for Christian.
Okay.
Sure.
How do you deal, you know, when you come across these conspiracy theories? Do you come across that a lot on your
sure, yeah.
Your
I deal with them
and how do you
a good
deal
amount.
with it?
Well,
how do you respond to that?
Usually I'm taking either two approaches. The first is to explain why skepticism is important. And I don't necessarily mean, you know, doubt every single thing about your existence. What I mean is when you take in new information that could be true and it could be false, what are the best ways to figure out whether it's true or whether it's false? And some of those things can be, for example, filter it through some sort of logic system. Say, does this make sense in light of other things that we know are true? Does this comport with the reality that we know we exist in? And we can have those conversations. And it turns out that once you take these conspiracy theories down to their most basic components, they don't even cooperate with each other. And if it's not even internally consistent, how can it reflect the external world? So I often do that. But the second thing I do is what I like to call reductio ad absurdum, which is take their arguments to its most logical absurdity and see if they'd still affirm to the proposition. And this can look a bunch of different ways, but take their arguments in their most base form and just take them to the extreme they refuse to say out loud. And sometimes they'll think, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. And I've seen it happen in front of me, those sorts of things occurring. And the combination of those two approaches can help break down some walls that wouldn't have existed if you hadn't challenged it.
Right. Well, some of this is not what you guys are talking about and what they're talking about in the chat. Some of this is just not it's more complex than a on-off, black or white kind of answer in any regard. Brian Browden says it isn't usually the we buy houses signs. It's the ones that offer the modeling jobs. You know, I actually remember that. I remember that from the 80s and 90s whenever as a kid, well, I wasn't a kid, but you know what I mean? I was younger back then and doing the modeling and acting thing and all this. And they would warn you, hey, be careful. Don't go on these. We've heard horror stories. We've seen movies about that very thing. Yeah, that's very real. It very really does happen. There really are some problems. We're talking about caging those problems and obfuscating them within false narratives that drive political agendas. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's really harmful.
Very harmful. QAnon, looking at you, QAnon, pieces of crap. So, yeah. And now, again, I was like looking at TikTok going, all right, you know, I mean, because part of my deal is we grew so much, and then we kind of stagnated, and we're growing a little bit again, but I'd sure like to really get the growth that I feel the channel needs. And how can I do that? Would TikTok help me break through that next wall? I don't know. So I'm sitting there going, TikTok. And then I hear these other people go, it's like a pedophile thing, and I'm like, I don't want to go there. I don't need those kind of problems. And then now I'm hearing that there's a QAnon going on all about it, and then there's religious nutbags all through it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to do that or not.
Well, I think so usually there's a For You page, which is where they just kind of, I think they put content in front of you that is based on your habits and the people that you follow even.
Mm-hmm.
But on your friends, or is it the For You page? What's the other one? For You. Well, anyway, there's the For You page where they just throw all kinds of stuff, people that you don't follow, just all the people on TikTok, and then the one area where it's just the people you follow. So you can make it so that you only see the stuff you want to see, but if you go to the For You page, you will find all kinds of other things. So I mean, you can
filter.
So it's what you want, yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think you should go. I mean, because I think you would gain more followers. There are people that don't know about you, and there's a pretty healthy atheist community there, I'm finding. So.
Well, oddly enough,
yoga pants.
Yoga pants. If I was to do the yoga pants, that would be fantastic. But YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and Facebook has got hundreds of millions, billions, I think, I'm sure, of users. I've got more than enough like ocean to swim in to get followers. Just something I'm not doing is, so I would have the same problem over there. I'd get in TikTok and, oh yeah, TikTok's got 100 million users, but I would work like a slave. And after, 2 months, I'd have 214 followers. I ain't got time for that. I gotta focus on getting my 214 followers over here on YouTube. But again, if I ever decide to get me some yoga pant videos going, you never know. I rock me some yoga pants. So, let me check our time here. I think we're getting close. I want to find out if Christian, let me check Christian first. Christian, do you have anything else going on this week? I think what's going on in Christian's world? Christian J. Watkins.
There's actually not a whole lot. I started a new job in real life, so I'm attempting to adjust to that more than I am trying to push out more content. But I do this Thursdays, and I upload those interviews twice a week, and I do my thing, moving into slowly doing other things. But it's, I always just appreciate coming in and giving my perspective. So I appreciate you letting me host on Thursdays. And there's not a whole lot else I want to plug, but everyone can check out my stuff in the description if they really care.
Gotcha. Awesome. We got your stuff. Miss Lola, what do you got going on in your world? Anything new coming out?
No, still just working on the charity, trying to get it off the ground. It's really hard right now with the pandemic and stuff. So.
Do you have any more appearances?
No, I haven't really planned on that. I'm thinking of podcasting. I'm not sure yet.
I think you threatened to, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, I'd like to, just based on all the bad information I'm seeing just on TikTok alone. I mean, I really feel like there needs to be a bigger attempt on my part to counter all of that. So I don't know, especially for the sake of victims, it's just really bad. So I don't know. It's a huge commitment, and I already have like this charity that I'm working on, which is it's also a huge commitment. So I don't know.
Gotcha. We'll see. Awesome. Well, I have got, for those of you who don't know, I've got my I Spy Sci-Fi review channel up and going. Today, so Monday, I did a kind of a catch up on who I am and what the channel is going to be about. The last couple of days, I did Tuesday was a review, a live stream review of what I thought of season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. Yesterday was season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. They were both hour-long shows. Tonight, I'm going to watch Picard and start watching Picard and doing Picard reviews over there on Sci-Fi. So if you love Sci-Fi, go over there. On the Daily Atheist Morning Show, it's me and guests and stuff like that. On the I Spy Sci-Fi, it's just me all alone and scared rattling. On Saturday, we're still going to have Sci-Fi Saturday, so don't forget to swing over there and subscribe. I'm still going to have Miss Leanne Lord too, but most during the week it's just going to be me. But if you like sci-fi and you want to check out my ideas about these TV shows, especially if you're into Star Trek, get over there and check those things out. And also to those, like I said earlier in the start of the show, who've bought my merch, send me a photograph of your merch and I'll put it up at the front with the other people so we can see your pictures too. So, all right, guys, I am off to save the world. I got a busy day. I got things to do at the place with the stuff for the people and the person because she is awesome. And I got to do things because, man. Anyway, so you guys have a wonderful day and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, guys.